It's time for AI News, brought to you by AIAW Podcast.
The two things I wrote down was Mistral and them releasing their latest model, showing really good performance results early on, which is exciting because I've been a little bit, skeptical. Like, do we really need like a local European LLM? Does this actually add value? But looking just how much more efficient and cost efficient it seems to be. And it seems you can use it quite easily for sort of fine tuning your different use cases. It's quite exciting. And I'm a lot more sort of optimistic towards Mistral in general after seeing this launch.
You picked my top article as well. Yeah. I will have another one now, but I think also this is one of the top articles now. And the reason I think it is so interesting, and just to give some more background around this, it's a French company that they got funding, I think, this summer, a huge amount of funding.
100 million, in seed.
Yes, very early on. I think it's the biggest, like a record funding, at least for a European company.
Yeah.
But they also had funding from the French government, I believe. And then a number of other very knowledgeable people, like I think Eric Schmidt was there as well, the Google exec person, and a lot of other Google and Meta people. I think they had also one of the top persons from Meta that actually built or worked on Llama, the Meta model, coming there as well. So they have a very impressive investment team, and then building this model that actually is beating all the records. Even the small, only 7 billion parameter model, beating Llama 2, even at almost double the size with 13 billion. But I think what's extra fun about this, not only that it's also open, open for everyone to use, but it's actually a European one. And it's not an American company.
Yeah. And what excites you about the European angle?
Because we haven't seen one before.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? I am so lacking.
Does that matter?
And missing.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Very much. I think there is we usually call it an AI gap here. So there is a big gap to these kind of big tech giants that we have in US and China. They are so far ahead in terms of the evaluation and the money and the capital they have, the talent and knowledge that they have, the infrastructure they have, the data they have, the users they have, which makes they can build products that quickly get adoption extremely efficiently because they can simply integrate them, which actually adds a moat to an extreme.
I actually agree. I'm just trying to be a little bit provocative. No, but I can see that.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to see a European, and not one that is bought up by a tech giant. Like DeepMind was, European, but then it was bought up by Google.
Exactly.
But this one is still not acquired by a tech giant, and it is still a European startup. And I hope it stays like that.
Give it another year.
Yes, exactly. I think it's super fun and exciting. And anyone that wants to try to use AI in their own organization should really look into Mistral AI. And they have this kind of instruct model as well, which is fine-tuned for chat purposes, etc. Super cool.
What are some of the use cases or applications where you think their model will be especially good?
Yeah, I think many cases, but like summarization apparently was one that was surprisingly good, if I recall correctly. But then with the instruct version of the model, that means basically it's basically aligned with human values, with reinforcement and human feedback. So it can be used for whatever kind of chatbot experience you want to have. But then if you simply want to have it from a knowledge retrieval point of view and say, I have all this data in my internal company. I now want to have a way to just find that information quickly. This one is actually one of the best ones today that can do that without sending the data to OpenAI, Microsoft, or Google. So it seems surprisingly efficient.
And that should be a really important USP, like being able to keep the data in Europe.
Yes, yes, and also for a lot of companies, they have a lot of high security demands, and if you go to the medical sector or whatnot, you can't send the data over to an American company, and you need to keep it safe and secure, and then you have to resort to these models. So having something that is open source in this way We'll see what their business model will be. I guess they will add some kind of. Do you have any
Because now
thoughts?
it's free, right?
Yes.
The first one.
I haven't really seen what the business model should be or is. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I'm not sure if the next one they'll launch this for adoption.
Yes.
And, acquire sort of free users, and then they'll launch another one that they will charge for.
Because they got a lot of investment, and investments and investors needs to get a return still, so they have a business model, but I haven't heard about it yet.
No.
I guess there will be some kind of enterprise license or whatnot going forward. Who knows?
Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
All right. So I have some variety of news, and I will make them very short. One is actually in your domain. Visa recently launched like 100 million. New generative AI venture fund that
Visa, the credit card company.
Here in Europe.
Yeah, it's actually, and you can see it it's actually from US. So it's actually oriented towards companies that are developing AI technologies and applications that will impact the future of commerce and payments. The second news was actually, I had a great conversation with one person from BP this morning. He will be coming on Data Innovation Summit and presenting. So he told me about something that I didn't know before, which is actually the first neuro law in Chile. So Chile is the first...
BP, like the British Petroleum?
Yeah, they have like an awesome guy who is working with ethics, I'm super happy. But Chile is the first country actually to become to legislate the neurotechnologies and include brain rights in its constitution, which means that technologies basically will need to respect the sovereignty of a person, physical sovereignty, their brain, and everything else.
So Neuralink working in
exactly.
Chile.
Exactly like that. So I think it's very, very, and it's amongst the first one. And the discussion that we had with this gentleman today, it was mind blowing. It opened up my eyes so much because I thought that we are not there, but obviously there is already things that are happening so much within this area. Neurocomputing, neuro AI, etc. That I thought that it was worth to mention. On a positive note, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, which is Jamie Dimon, announced that basically the entire organization will be utilizing AI. They have identified 300 use cases internally, and he believes that the future of work is going to be less than around 3.5 days. So he is predicting that in short, people will have what they want right now, and that is a bigger and longer weekend. So I think that was cool. Back to the AI Act. There is still struggle there. Obviously, the European countries, some of them, including France, are now fighting the legislation, especially the part for biometric surveillance. And asking actually for some cases to be excused, including basically usage in for national security and military purposes. So we all know where this is going to go, right? And that would be my news.
Yeah, awesome.
Good ones.
I actually had a news that I wasn't able to speak about, but so I add it now, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So actually Microsoft did a big launch. This is actually kind of old. It's like more than 1 week, so it's a bit old. But Microsoft released something that they haven't really spoken about at all, and I think it's a really big thing. It's called AutoGen. And this is I haven't seen any press release or anything. And they had a big conference recently, and they didn't even mention this. And AutoGen basically is an open source framework for being able to have agents speaking to each other.
I saw this.
Yeah, you saw it.
This is super exciting.
It is exciting. And basically you can have one agent that is producing code, another that is evaluating the code or thinking from a security point of view, is this correct to do so? Something else that's evaluating from a business point of view, and then they start to interact.
You can have LLMs writing LLMs.
Yes, LLMs speaking to each other. So you build up this kind of discussion that they have between each other, and they just talk to each other until they come to some kind of conclusion, saying, okay, now we have some potential solution. And as I see, normally large language models, they are basically, as I call it, like the type 1, or this kind of, if you take the type 1 and type 2 systems that Kahneman thought about, or thinking fast and slow, or the human brain, we have reactive parts of our brain and more deliberative parts of our brain. So the frontal cortex is more deliberative. You think, you reason in a high level of abstraction. But then if you have your eyes or whatnot, they are reactive. You don't really consciously think even what you do. And that is really what I think the large language models, even ChatGPT, is like. It's more like the reactive part, the type 1 kind of system that doesn't do deliberative thinking. But now by adding this layer, like AutoGen is doing, and having these other layers using the models back and forth, this is reasoning on high level of abstraction. And this is adding the deliberative part of a system. And this is kind of exciting and scary.
Exciting.
But scary also at the same time, because if they start to produce code, I saw someone, building like, I think it was a game, like this snake game or something, and he started to interact with each other and build better and better versions of it without human intervention or human in the control. And that is also a bit scary.
Yeah, we talked about that before the pod, like when we start automating malware.
Yeah.
Sort of. So it could almost be like a virus if it's initiated in the wrong, with malintent.
Yes.
And you have agents accelerating that. That's a bit scary. But I was excited from the perspective of, because I've seen enterprises now applying sort of GPT-4 for, searching company data through a chat interface. Hey, find me this number of the sales in France last week, or these sort of fact finding with a chat GPT interface. And I've seen, other slightly more advanced applications of GPT-4 for sure. But with this, I think this could be the start of almost your next layer of business intelligence operating system.
It's like an operating system of large language models.
Exactly,
right? Yes,
in a way that can help you make the right decisions on how to manage,
it is
whatever
amazing.
Really. It can be the core of your sort of brain in your company.
And also, if you look at Jan LeCun, in Meta, he has this idea about what the true AGI should be. And it should be some kind of controller that is different from the perception that you take. This is actually the controller in some sense, right? It's a controller that is doing discussions or sending messages between different parts of the brain or the AI systems, which are different systems, and then trying to control them in some ways to come to some conclusion. This is cool and a bit scary.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what startups will do with this as well. And you'll be able to combine internal data with external data and make a lot more advanced sort of. And
pick and choose different AI, because you can choose. It doesn't only support ChatGPT. It can be any kind of model that you can.
Combining different models
integrate it with.
and put them against each other and see who performs best, and then choose the one. Super exciting.